Hey YouTube, Angie B here. So I'm back with a tutorial on how I make my journey book covers. Now, when I first started making them, I used to go to the Dollar Tree and just buy a book, an actual book cover, and tear the whole book out, like cut the seam out and did the whole book and use it that way. But I got tired of doing that, and I figured there could be another way that I could do it, and there is. So I save my cereal boxes. Any box that's big enough like this, I save them and I use the cardboard as my base. Now this is cut to, it's like 7 3/4 by 11. Okay, I try to get the biggest one I can. Most of these are 7 by 3/4 this way, and then I just cut it down to 11. Okay, so we're gonna start with that. I will show you what I do first. So first, the printed side is always, you're going to want that to be the inside because I'm going to be covering that with paper, so you won't see that. The outside will be the cardboard issue. So I have already cut my fabric here, but we need to do this first. So I have cut it down to the 11 by 7 3/4. Now here I have marked it at 4 3/4. I'm sorry, 4 3/4 this way, and then I have a line. Then we're going to do 1.5 inches for your seam, and then another 4 3/4 on the other side. So what I'm first going to do is bend my book into the way I need it to. I was going to use my scoreboard, but mind you, that's the inside, so I'm going to bend on the little line that I formed. Keep it straight. And I take my bone folder, go like that, and then do the opposite side. You can easily make your box, make it straight just by lining up your box from side to side. As long as you're straight on each side here, then you're straight on your fold. As long as your cut is straight. Okay, so I did that. Now what I'm going to do is I just want to score this a little bit. Give it a better bend. This is my little mini board. I didn't want to pull out the big one. No need to pull out the big one. Okay. So now it's nice and folded. I secure my seam even more now. All I do is I cut up the mail paper that you can use, the postal paper, and I use this as an extra support in the center. So what I'm going to do is glue this down. This is some fresh glue, so we want extra support in the center. And I have the edge come out maybe about 1/2 inch more than the seam. So you would probably want this, paper cut at about 2 inches since your seam is 1.5 inches. So there we go. Press that down. And then when you do this, make sure you lay it down nice and flat. Go and fold it. Press it down. Go and fold it. Press it down. There we go. So now we have our extra seam, extra protection in the center. All right. And now that's that. Okay, so typically I'd let this dry a little bit, but it'll probably dry while we mess with the fabric. So I was going to do a Halloween fabric, but with what I want to do with this paper and the type of paper I have, it just wasn't flowing with the fabric I bought. So I'm going to use this all black. And then it's going to come together as a Halloween one once all is said and done and the centers are put on and everything. So here we have the fabric, and I like to leave about a 1/2 inch of fabric on each side of the cover. About a 1/2 inch, because that's going to be going on first. So here's what I'm going to do. First we are going to I started working with Fabri-Tac glue. The last book I made, I used Fabri-Tac glue. I didn't really have an issue with it. I'm not complaining about it. Before I was just using double-sided sticky tape. We'll use a little bit of that in this and the Fabri-Tac, of course. And hot glue, we're using quite a few different things here. So this is in the center, and we're just going to cut little squares out of each corner. When you fold it in, they have to be gone. As we all know. So go around, make sure it's lined up. And this fabric is kind of stretchy, so it's kind of moving around on me, but it's all good. See, I have to lay down the fabric first because you want the paper on the inside to cover up your fabric. You don't want your fabric sticking out in your book, right? Right. So that corner's gone. One more corner. And I kind of cut it at an angle. And you leave a little tiny bit there so you don't have your corner sticking out. Okay. So there we go with that. Now first what I'm going to do, give me some tape. I'm going to lay one side down with tape over here to get my Fabri-Tac, to get all that started. So what I'm going to do is just lay some tape here. Just to get it started. Because we're going to take it around with Fabri-Tac. And then, you can use Fabri-Tac as the glue too, but this double-sided sticky tape is amazing. I love it. Why not? Might as well put it there too. Alright, my hot glue gun is already on because I'm going to need that too. So here we go with this. So to get it started, I'm just going to take this one. And I'm just going to fold this in, pull it down, get it started. All right, so now, get my Fabri-Tac. I was really skeptical about using this because I wasn't sure if it was going to leave like white, if you're going to be able to see it or anything like that. And with the journal I did last, I'd have to say it was fine. So I'm going to put as much on here as I can. We're going to do first side. This stuff is strong. I'm just going to flatten it out. Pull it. Don't pull it too tight. Then you have problems. Stretch it out. You still kind of have to be mindful of your bends and your creases here. It's not. There we go. And then what I'm going to do, go ahead and put it here. Stuff's got a really weird smell, but it's made of fabric. Okay. Do one half. And it dries pretty quick. That's another good thing I kind of liked about it. That it doesn't take an excessive amount of time to dry. And the only reason I picked it up is I picked it up at AC Moore when I was in there doing all my shopping, because, you know, they're going out of business and everything is extremely low prices now. So sad. I hate to see them go. All right. So now that is covered. Sorry guys. Put that down that way. And honestly, I could probably, let's just put this down with Fabri-Tac too. Why not? I normally do double-sided sticky tape or hot glue, but since this works just as well, and hot glue is going to be holding the paper down anyway, we'll just do this. Save me the time. And then we just go around and do the top, you know, do the other two sides. Glue them down. Push them in nice and tight. Put your corners in there. That side. I really like making, coming up with different ideas for these types of journals. I call them journey books, because I mean, you could do a lot with these books. Add pictures to them and journal in them at the same time. So yeah, now our fabric is completely around our book. I'm going to give that a second to dry. I'll pause this and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So the paper I decided to use for the inside of this one will be this. Now we're going to cut this to, I think it's 7.5 and 10.5. So let's figure this one out first. I think it's 7.5. Hey, what you doing? What? Oh gosh. Okay, this is my daughter. She's in here, you know, probably losing her mind. So yeah, let me make sure. That's where our line is. It's actually, why is it not measuring up to 7.5 here? Well, no, it should be cut at 7.5. And we're using most of the head. 7.5 by 10.5 is where I marked it. Because you're going to have a little bit of an edge on the edge of your book. 10.5, yep. That's where we are. 10.5. Okay. Let's take that away. So that way when you put this in here, it's going to look like this. All right. So now that we're here, bone folder, where did you go? We're going to crease the paper where the fold is because you're going to want to be able to move it easy. It's a pencil mark. It's got to go. You want to be able to move it easy and flex it when you put it down. So we know that our bend is right there. So we're going to crease it right there. Now this paper is a little thick. I prefer to use thinner, but I didn't see one I liked that was thin. And then crease this on this bend. It's kind of easy to line it up when you can see the fold. You just want your paper to move easier. Okay. Now we've done that. Boom, boom, boom. Now, we're going to start in the center. Ooh. That was a big glob there. We got to move that around. Start in the center. And even these little... Get nice and glue. Might as well just put it there too. And sometimes I would use double-sided sticky tape even for this process because it's just as good, but glue makes it sturdier to me. Okay, so now I gotta line this up. Make sure your top and your bottom is evenly spaced with your edge, which it is. And we're going to take our bone folder and just smooth it out. You still have a little wiggle room, little time, but not much. Especially when it comes to tacky glue. So what I like to do here is just really play with it because you want everything to be a smooth edge. Your creases have to crease. You don't want it to buckle. So this is kind of where it gets a little tricky, because you don't want your paper to buckle as you're moving it and everything like that. But you want it to dry too, but you don't want it to buckle. So I kind of sit here and just move it around, play with it, make sure it's down. No creases. The more you rub your hands over it, the drier it'll get, the quicker it'll dry. Like I said, I just sit here and I fold it and make sure it's good. Okay? Because then when you go like this, sometimes it'll buckle. Alright. So now that I feel like my center is down enough and it's in good shape, I'm going to go this side first. See, like, that's not dry, but I'm not going to sit and wait for it to do that. I just get enough on here for the paper. Then fold. Now as I do this, I fold this, fold it, make sure it's down, good like that. Because then once I drop it, guess what? It may buckle. So we gotta get in that crease again. While that's doing that, I'm going to fold this way because I'll make sure it's not going to buckle over here. See? I'm saying sometimes it just lifts right up. I'm tempted to go ahead and hot glue that now, because I know that'll keep it down and keep it from buckling it anymore. I think I will do that. So right now, since I know this is down and I don't want this to buckle anymore, my hot glue gun is nice and hot, so I am going to, I like to hot glue these edges down. It's just, to me, I think it's better to hot glue them down. I'm going to start at the sides. And don't want this to buckle anymore. It's not ready for a stick yet. See, like, this isn't really dry right here, but it's okay. It's kind of coming up. So we can hot glue it down. Okay. And I'll do the seam. This side. Seam on the side. Ooh, this video is already at 25 minutes. Goodness gracious, guys. It's going to be a long one. I'm going to hot glue. Okay, I'm going to repeat the same process on this side and pause you and I'll meet you right back. Okay, now that is done. So, prime example of what I'm going to show you guys about buckling. I had it in this a little bit because I was kind of rushing and not taking my time and letting it dry. So I kind of have a buckle right there, if you can see it. Okay. I can try to fix it by going like this, but I don't want to rip the paper. So it's like best to let it dry completely or try to fix the buckle that way. I hot glued it down pretty quick, so, or you can just go like that. And then hopefully you'll get your buckle out. But from the inside, it doesn't look bad, see. When it's folded, it's not bad. Want some tie-dyeing? I'm about to be in there cooking, so be careful. So that's the inside of that, and that's the whole book cover. Now what we're going to do, our seam is 1.5 inches, so every 1/2 inch in is where each signature is going to be, and there's just 2. So I'm going to mark it at 1/2 and mark it at 1/2 here. So that's where each of my holes are going to go. So I'm going to take this a little lower, a little lower. So now, get our handy dandy Cricut. Go to my tiny holes. Match it up. And I'm going to poke. Then clear my hole. And poke. I'm going to do some, I don't know if I'm going to do black or if I'm going to do, well, they're going to be covered anyway, so I guess we'll just go ahead and do black. Poke the hole. Clear the hole. I'm going to put eyelets through it for my papers. So there's your holes for that. I don't poke my hole for my charm yet because I cover my seam first before I do that. Hold on. Thought the freaking eyelet thing was, didn't know where it was. Okay, and tiny black ones. Do I have any tiny black ones? Oh boy, no, we may have to go with a different color. Ooh, we can go with this vintagey copper looking one. That's what we'll do. Tiny holes. And we switch to Topsy Base 3. Topsy Base 3. I gotta change my settings. Nothing. Okay. Now, I like to use these just because I do. I used to sew things in, but this is just better. And we push it in. Eyelet set. Eyelet is set. Then we do our 2 down here. Oh, those are 2 different colors. Oh, gotta change that one. That's not the same color. This one is different. Oop. It's a different color. No, that's not. They're so similar. Oh my gosh. I'm having such a hard time. Is that the right one? Okay, that's the right one. There we go. Grabbing the wrong eyelets colors. So those eyelets are set and ready for your pages to go in. So that is the longest video I have done for a tutorial. So this is how I make my covers. Watch the journey with this. This is the beginning of the Halloween one. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, don't be afraid to ask them below. Have a good ladies. I've got to go cook my dinner. Bye.